Good morning, welcome, Vanakkam, Swagatham. In this video, I would like to share with you a very fascinating, intriguing coincidence. Perhaps it's not a coincidence, but for the time being, let's say it's a coincidence. What are the two parts that constitute this coincidence? By the way, before I proceed any further, I am reminded of the definition of coincidence that Arthur Koestler provides. He says a coincidence is two events held together by an unseen hand. I can't think of a more meaningful, beautiful, and simple definition or explanation of coincidence than the one provided by Arthur Koestler. Therefore, let me repeat. A coincidence is two events held together by an unseen hand. The hand is unseen. That's the beauty of it. So, what is this coincidence that I would like to reflect on with all of you? It's very simple. On the one hand, we have the United States of America celebrate the 250th anniversary of its independence. On the other hand, we have Iran giving a fitting farewell to its fallen religious and secular hero, Ayatollah Ali Khomeini. Now, I'm sure you have wondered why the authorities in Iran chose this particular slot of time to give the farewell to their supreme leader, Khomeini. They could have organized it a week later or a week earlier. No, they timed it. And I'm inclined to believe that they timed it deliberately. In that sense, it's not an accident from the perspective of Iran. It may seem an accident from the American perspective. It may seem an accident even the perspective of a third party like Indians, etc. But as far as the Iranians are concerned, I don't think any one of them considers this to be an accident. It's a deliberate choice. So therefore, it's legitimate for us to ask the question, why have the Iranians chosen this particular slot of time to schedule the last rites of Ayatollah Ali Khomeini, who, together with 48 other senior important leaders, were decimated on the very first day of the recent war, which began about 5 months ago. Now, there could be two possible explanations for this. Let me mention first the most pragmatic and obvious explanation, which I don't think is the real reason, but let me mention it nonetheless. Those responsible for organizing this great national event, an event that is deliberately meant to whip up nationalistic sentiments and create a sense of oneness among the much divided people of Iran. Iran is a very seriously internally schismatic, divided, fragmented country. So, an emotionally charged events like bidding farewell to the supreme leader could well be an opportunity for Iran to bring about a sense of patriotic fervor, which also could result in activating a feeling of sameness, oneness among the people of Iran. But beyond that, to them it would have seemed that this was the safest period to organize this, because if there is one slot of time during which they could be absolutely certain that America will not launch a surprise attack on Iran, it's this time, because America is busy celebrating its anniversary, the anniversary of its independence. And all of us know that Americans are very, very keen about the commencement of their history as a nation some 250 years ago. America was a British colony. Part of it was colonized by France. So Britain and France together had gobbled up America. And then the American independence movement was launched. The rest is history. So 250 years ago, America became a free nation, like India becoming a free and independent nation in 1947. So the one time that Americans are too busy to attack Iran is this period of time when the Americans are completely obsessed, preoccupied with celebrating the anniversary of their attaining freedom, independence. So that could be the pragmatic explanation for it. But I believe that there is something far more important, both from the perspective of Iranians and also from the perspective of world history. My perspective, my concern, my focus is here more on world history than on what independent nations think and do. They all matter because, after all, world history is the sum and total of what independent nations do. But world history is much more than the sum and total of what independent nations do. That again is a mystery. And if you want to know a little more about that mystery, I would refer you to two works. One is Hegel's Philosophy of History. The second book is Immanuel Kant's Principles or Ideas for the Writing of Universal History with a Cosmopolitan End. I hope I remember that title correctly. Where both of them agree that history has a life of its own and that the larger pulls and purposes of history far transcend the conscious individual intentions of great leaders and great nations. There is something that goes beyond the human intentions in the creation of history. No individual, no country creates history. History controls, directs, creates. History creates itself. And in fact, in the lectures on the philosophy of history, Hegel argues that history is spirit expressing itself and evolving itself. It's a continuing self-evolution and self-expression of history. Spirit, the capital S, spirit is finding its own expression, quite autonomous from the intentions of human beings, in which process, of course, history uses the conscious and deliberate actions of individuals. In fact, if you read a work like Les Miserables by Victor Hugo, there is an extended discussion on the significance of the Battle of Waterloo. Then Victor Hugo raises a rhetorical question towards the end of that chapter. He asks, who defeated Napoleon? He says, do you think England defeated Napoleon? He says, no, history defeated Napoleon. He says, Napoleon defied the spirit and logic of history, and history brought him down. He says, the credit for defeating Napoleon should not go to the English army, it should go to history itself. Anyway, since that's not our main line of thinking, I just flag this and I move on. Now, from the point of view of the Iranians, what could be the significance in effecting deliberately this coincidence? Here I have to say, whether people like it or not, I have developed great admiration for the Iranians, particularly in the last 5 months. If you compare Iranians and Americans man to man, Iranians, in my opinion, are far superior, particularly the leaders. The leaders of Iran are far superior to the leaders of America. There's a reason for this. And the reason is, America is a declining world force. Iran, in my opinion, is a rising world force. Iran would take quite a while to reach its full potential, but Iran has discovered accidentally, so it would seem. But as I said a short while ago, what seems an accident is not an accident. It's a meaningful incident in the logic of history. So, Iran is a rising force. Of that, I have no doubt. Why? Because the quality of the people of Iran is something that really surprises me. And when I compare Iran with my country, in terms of the quality of the people, I have to say that I have great admiration for the Iranians, the leaders. Can you imagine a country like Iran, 9 crore people, a country that has been staggering under the crushing burden of sanctions for 40 years and more, a country whose economy was staggering, a country that was facing all kinds of problems, taking on the combined might of two formidable war machines, the United States of America and Israel, standing its ground and now dictating terms. In fact, it's with great sadness that I think of Donald Trump these days. The poor fellow did not know what he was getting into, and now he is desperately trying to get out of it. I can't even look him in the face because there is unmasked misery there. He's completely out of his depths when he talks about Iran. Or think of another thing. You compare and contrast two individuals. Ayatollah Ali Khomeini, whose burial is now taking place on the one hand, and Donald Trump. Who do you think is more respectable? You've never heard Ayatollah Ali Khomeini utter one word of falsehood. At least I haven't. It's another matter that he leads a fairly secretive life. He doesn't like the limelight. Oh, he didn't like the limelight. Now he's no more. But if he said something, that was it. Not so with Donald Trump. Unfortunately, Donald Trump is regarded by thousands and thousands of Christians as the modern day icon of Christianity. Nothing embarrasses me more than this. The gentleman cannot open his mouth without spewing a series of falsehood, lies, utter lies. We never know what to trust and what not to trust. And that person, simply because he happens to occupy a chair which is important, is considered an icon of Christianity, which embarrasses me a great deal, but that again is by the way. So if you compare these two leaders, Donald Trump and the late Ayatollah Ali Khomeini, who do you really respect? I have absolutely no uncertainty or ambiguity in this matter. Ayatollah Ali Khomeini is far, far superior as an individual than Donald Trump could be in 10 generations. So this itself is very significant. My dear friends, I'm convinced, with what limited acquaintance I have with the substance and spirit of world history, that ultimately it's not the power of your economy, it's not even the power of your army that matters. It's the quality of the people that matters. And this is a lesson that India must learn. We are in a very bad state, but again, I will not turn our attention in that direction for want of time. Every nation that's interested in its own future must invest heavily in its people and create an atmosphere within the country which can bring out the best from its people. Filling a country with the pollution of hatred, negativity, etc., is a crime against that country. It's thoroughly destructive of the future of that country. We will pay for it, I have no doubt about it. I wish it would be otherwise, but I really don't have much hope. Again, that's by the way. So, the reason why the concerned authorities in Iran chose to synchronize this most important national ritual of bidding farewell to the slain hero, Ayatollah Ali Khomeini, to synchronize with the celebration of the 250th anniversary of the attainment of independence by America, must now be stated. It's very clear. Iran wants the world to know that America is a spent force. America is a power in decline, whereas Iran is rising. And Iran is rising out of the ashes of Ayatollah Ali Khomeini. So in their imagination, the slain Ayatollah is like the mythical bird phoenix, which is supposed to have the power to regenerate itself and emerge as a renewed, resplendent bird out of its own ashes. So through this event, Iran is clearly signaling to the rest of the world that a new Iran is rising. And I have no doubt about it. Look at the way Iran is playing the Strait of Hormuz card. It's pure genius. And look at the grounds that America has lost. Just to see the logic for my saying that America is declining and Iran is rising. If you go back 5 months in history, you would recall the goals stated both by America and Israel in launching this war. It was to ensure, pardon me, it was to ensure that Iran never developed a nuclear weapon. Iran's missile technology and missile manufacturing is seriously limited. Iran's ability to fund and maintain proxies all over the region would be totally destroyed. And unstated intentions like enabling Israel to become a regional superpower so that America could gradually withdraw from this region and that vacuum could be occupied by Israel on behalf of America, so that Israel would be a regional proxy for America. While Iran had 4 or 5 proxies, America needed only one proxy, and that was Israel. And this was the intention. That was never stated. Right from day number 1, I was very clear that this was the intention. What is the situation now? America has grudgingly accepted the fact that Iran can fund and maintain its proxies. Look at the Memorandum of Understanding signed with Iran. The first clause accepts the fact and legitimizes the fact that Iran has a legitimate liaison, legitimate relationship with Hezbollah in Lebanon, and that Iran can protect Hezbollah. That's the reason why nothing can go forward without Israel winding up its operations against Hezbollah. Whereas both Israel and America wanted Hezbollah to be decapitated. It was a stated intention. There was nothing secretive about it. What's the state now? The Iran-Hezbollah relationship has been legitimized. Completely opposite of what America wanted, completely the opposite of what Israel wanted. Now think of the Strait of Hormuz, which is really the jugular of global economy. Before the war began 5 months ago, the Strait of Hormuz was international waters. Ships of any country could have free and easy passage. What's the situation now? The IRGC is insisting that the Strait of Hormuz will be totally controlled by Iran, with, of course, Oman has added as an appendix. And I doubt if America will be able to change the mind of Iran in this respect, because Iran has tasted blood. It's not going to give up this huge advantage. Now, what about nuclear weapons? What about the nuclear dust that Trump talks about? There is no idea. We have no idea when that will be dealt with. The memorandum of understanding makes no provision for it. What about controlling Iran's missile program, missile technology? Absolutely nothing. So it's very clear that both Israel and America have lost, and America more than Israel have lost tremendously on account of this war. That's the reason why I say that Iran is a rising global power. And it will take a while, maybe about 20, 25 years, for this particular process to reach its climax. But reach it certainly will. So, the sad part as far as India is concerned is that the country that benefited maximally from all this is Pakistan. Imagine Pakistan being the mediator for peace. A country that's at war with its own people, a country that is globally considered a failed democracy, a country that's really living on other people's charity, including IMF and World Bank, apart from what all it gets from Saudi Arabia and support from other GCC countries. Suddenly, Pakistan has far outwitted India. Now, the question is whether we should credit this to the smartness of Pakistan or to the fundamental flaws which unfortunately we consider our domestic strengths. I'm not going to discuss details because they are too obvious. Stating the obvious is not a very rewarding or stimulating experience. So I think apart from all other things, the developments in this region, the Gulf region, the last 5 months, should make India sit up and think. Our foreign policy needs a complete revamping. Our idea of how India should be domestically, internally, how India should understand development, all these things have to be revisited in relation to or in light of the emerging realities and also in relation to the enduring principles in world history. We can't violate the logic of history and thrive. There's no instance anywhere in world history where a country has progressed on the power of hatred, negativity, and internal disunity, or oppression and denial of freedom of expression, or intimidation, etc., within the country. In one of my earlier videos, I stated, borrowing this insight from Immanuel Kant, that the respect that a country commands beyond its borders depends almost entirely on how healthy that country is within itself. The wholeness of its domestic situation dictates the degree of respect it would command in the international arena. Given how we are today, it should not surprise us that we don't find acceptance, particularly our posturing as Vishwaguru does not find any acceptance anywhere. In fact, I don't think at any point in history, the last 75 years, India has been more isolated than we are at the moment. Surely there is a logic to it, and it doesn't help us to be in a state of denial. Somehow, people think that they do a great service by the country by suppressing free thought, by stigmatizing insights, and by choosing to live in denial. Living in denial is tantamount to suicide, national suicide. If you are a patriot, you will heed the lesson history is teaching you so that tomorrow you don't repeat the same mistake. And you can emerge from the present situation a lot stronger, wiser, and better prepared to face the future. That's my dream for the country. So, whatever has happened and what continues to happen in this theater is of extreme importance for us. But before I conclude, let me also say this. There are two ways in which this scenario can play out. One scenario, is that America chooses to pack up and leave, leaving the Gulf Cooperation Council countries, GCC nations, to mind their own destiny. In which case, all of them will become vassal states to Iran. Iran will completely dominate this region. And in that process, Iran will be aided and abetted by China and Russia because it serves their purpose. And that will be a tremendous shot to the arm, especially for China. This is one scenario. That America, by entering into this ill-advised war, has actually dug its own grave. This is one possibility. The other possibility, to which I give equal credence, is that Trump is biding his time. Trump is biding his time. He has to face elections in November. This war is extremely unpopular in the States. So being active in this war could cost him very dearly in the coming elections, which could have serious ramifications for the 2.5 years left for him in office. Therefore, he would bide his time till the elections are over, and depending on the elections, he might decide to take on Iran head on and settle the matter once and for all. But I would consider that to be a very, very difficult, costly, messy option because Iran is not Venezuela. It's a huge country with a substantial population of 93 million people. And its economy is not as bad as it was made out to be. And more than anything else, it's being armed, aided, equipped, trained by China, and to some extent Russia. Russia, of course, is today burdened with its own problems and self-inflicted wounds. So Trump knows that Iran is not a walk in the park. Whether he would have the gumption to take on Iran and to make that an object lesson for the rest of the world is something that time alone can prove. I am inclined to believe that America will gradually leave this region, though it is extremely counterproductive for America to do so. It's very humiliating, economically very costly. American economy will take a beating for the rest of its history because this is going to undermine the dollar as a basket of international trade and commerce. The consequences are humongous. That's the only reason why I say that after the November midterm elections are over, Trump could come back with a vengeance and settle, if possible, settle the Iran question with the help of Netanyahu, in which process Trump will certainly enlist India. And at that time, India will face one of the most crucial questions and choices to make in its foreign policy scenario. And many, many consequences would emanate from that. These are things that we have to wait and see. Anyway, I don't want to prolong this video any more than I already have. Tremendous things are going to happen in this region. And for what I can see, the larger message is that America as a global power is declining, clearly, emphatically declining. If that logic is true, then I'm inclined to believe that America will, within a span of 5 years max, pack up from this region, and the whole of this region will undergo a substantial, incredible change. Well, let's wait and see what happens. Thank you. Jai Hind.